Hello and thank you for subscribing to Infoverse Tech. This is a channel where we explore new trends in technology, and today we are going to look at a Python library which is called Faker, and this is used to generate fake data. And the common use case is that you don't have access to real or production data, and you can use this library to generate different kinds of data that can be used in your project. So as per the documentation, it's a Python package that generates fake data for you. Whether you need to bootstrap your database, create good looking XML documents, fill in your persistence to stress test it, or anonymize data taken from a production service, Faker is for you. So I want this to be a short tutorial like my other videos, but I found it very interesting and so powerful to generate different kinds of data that this might be a slightly longer video, but I'm sure you will enjoy it as much as I have done in creating this. So let's get started. As usual, I either use Python Jupyter Notebook, or I use Visual Studio Code. Today I'm using Jupyter Notebook, and I've given it a name, Python library to generate fake data, Faker. So let's get started. The first thing you want to do is install the library. So the command or syntax is similar to what we've done earlier, which is to use pip to install. So let me just show you here. I've already installed it, so I will not go through this, but this is the step to install or command to install Faker. So once we install that, what we can do is we can import the relevant library, and let me show you how to do that. So it's from Faker, import Faker, from faker.providers, import base provider. Now the second one will be useful when we explore additional provider services, but for the initial or basic services, just importing Faker should be good enough. But let's get started with this. So let me run that. And now let me show you a very simple example. So to get started, we need to make sure that we move it into a variable. It can be anything, so we're calling it fake, and whatever the contents of Faker are moved here. Let me run this, and now let me show you a very simple example. So let me do, so you can follow along. It's a very simple syntax: print fake.name. So it's going to print out name. Let me run that. So it prints out a random or fake name. We can also do like an address. Let me run that again. Very simple syntax: fake, and you just append address, and this should, when you run this, it should give you an address. Again, it's a fake address. And you know, if you're developing an application where you need different kinds of names and addresses, you can use this to generate that data. We can also generate this together, so name and an address. Let's run that. So very simple. It's under the print command. You have fake.name, comma fake.address, and I run that. You get the name and you get the fake address. Let's just put in a for loop, and you'll see how it'll generate a bunch of names or addresses or all together. So I'm just going to type in the, so let's go with 10 names as an example. Let's go with names. So again, all I'm doing is adding a for loop. When I run this, it generates 10 names, all fake. Let's do something else. So we can also choose to just print a first name. So you know, it printed that. What I can do is I can include that, and then it'll print 10 first names. So let's try that. Let me run that again, and you'll see that it just printed the first names, and it's a mix of men and women. I'll just show you that you can even separate that. You can segregate between the women names and the men names. So let's give that a shot. One more thing that I can show you here is, instead of the first name, we can do a last name. So again, you get a last name. Let's do another one, which is print a male name. So this will generate a male name. Let's see how that works. As you can see, all of the names that are generated are men. We can also do female. So again, it depends on your use case. You might have a specific application that requires male names or female names, or a mix. Really, it's very, very versatile. So here these are just all female names. We can also even drill down to a first name male, first name female, or last name male, last name female. I can certainly show that as well, but let me show you just one of them, and it should be fairly simple to replicate that. So let me just do add here. So it'll generate 10 last names for females. Right? I could also do first, and it'll generate first names for ladies. Okay, so like I said, very simple syntax, and the output is really very, very interesting to see and fun to use. Now we can also use different locales. So here this was using US. Let me just add some more. So let's see, I've chosen US, I've chosen Japanese, and I've chosen Russian, and I'm just going to loop it in a for loop and see that it prints those names. And we're going to see that it's going to be a mix of English, US names, Japanese, and Russian. So let's run that. You can see it's a mix of English names. You have Japanese names in its script, and you also have Russian names. So this is amazing that you can get this kind of an output, and it really enhances the value of this particular library. Let's look at some other information. So I can do like fake.sentence, and this prints something in Japanese, right? Randomly some text. If you run that again, it printed something in Russian. Now we can also revert back, so that we just whatever output we get is in English. So let me run that, and let me run a sentence, and you see it's back to all English. Let me run I can also generate random or fake text. So let's run that, and if I run that again, you'll notice that it's random text again. And again, this can be used for some kind of testing, or you just need a lot of data to run your application and so on. Now this is using a default dictionary at the backend. You can perhaps replace it with your own word list. So let me customize that. So I have this word list from, let's say it appears to be from perhaps a cryptocurrency book or some other tech. So let me run that. So this is my word list, and what I can do is I can now run this. So you notice I'm saying fake.sentence, and all I'm doing is external word list replacing the existing word list. So it will now assign my word list to to this word list and use that in generating that fake sentence. So you can see it generated a random sentence based on my word list. I can also do, instead of sentence, I can do like text. Just let me replace sentence with text, and when I run that, I again get a bunch of text based on my particular word list. Okay, so interesting so far. Now we can there might be a requirement to generate the same data all the time. Like maybe you're running 10 tests and you don't want the data to change, so you can compare between the first run and the second run or the third run. So we can use the concept of seeding, and as long as we use the same number, it'll always generate the same text. So let's take an example here. Okay, so I can do and run that. So it's just a random number, and now if I run this, it will always generate the same kind of text, right? It will not change. So if I say and if I run that again, let's see. Okay, so I need to make sure that it's using the correct seed here. Okay, so we'll look into it in a little more detail towards the end. Now let's have a look at some other providers that are available with this library. And like I said, as long as we can use the base provider command that I showed earlier on, it will make sure that you're able to use the additional providers that are available with this library. So let's look at some that are credit card related as an example. So I'm going to say print a credit card number. So syntax is very straightforward. I get a credit card number. I can also do who's the credit card provider. When I run that, it tells me it's Visa, and I can also run like a credit card full information, and it will generate a different financial institution in somebody's name and so on. So again, this can be used to do some testing, and again, these are all fake. They don't match any real person. And that's the key thing. Maybe you're developing a financial application and you need lots of data. You don't want to use real data because that would be very wrong. So you can create this fake data to make sure that your application is running fine. Now let's look at some currency related examples. So let me show you a currency code. So when I run this, it gives me currency code. I can also look at currency name. So what are some, okay, that's some name. Let's see, I'm not familiar with that. Let's do like let's print some more, so maybe we'll see some that we recognize. So far I didn't. Okay, let's run that again. So I'm printing 10 of them. Okay, my bad, I just need an indent there, and you see that it printed I think some of them we are familiar with, like the Doji coin, which is these days capturing a lot of our attention. Let me run that again and see if, so I find I can recognize Ethereum, Litecoin, and so on. Let's look at some other information like currencies of the world. So let me run that. So for that, I just need to take this away, and when I run this, it'll show me 10 currencies of the world. So Cuban, Burmese, Guinean, Tongan, and so on. Let me run that again. So Zimbabwean, Serbian dinar, and so on. So I think this is amazing output, and again, you can find many use cases of running this to generate different currency around the world. We can also generate currency symbols. So let's take a look at this. Let's run it in so that we get some more of them. I believe that was a British pounds. Okay, let's run that. So I can recognize a dollar, a pound, and so on. A real, rupees. So very interesting. You can also use or generate symbols. Let's look at something else again. It's interesting stuff like a price tag. So it can generate fake price tags. Let me add it here so that we can see a bunch of them, and that makes it just a little more interesting. Okay, again, the syntax is absolutely the same. All we're doing is just changing the provider name. So it generates random fake price tags, which again you can use in a variety of applications as required. Now let's look at some network/internet related providers. So let's see if we can generate company emails. So I'm going to reuse this, and I'm going to say here, so print fake.company_email. This will generate, again, this is all fake, but you're getting a bunch of email addresses. Perhaps you need to do some testing or use them in your mail program. You have this information, you can generate it. Now let's look at another one, which is generating fake free emails. So this is interesting because this is all from free email providers like Google, Yahoo, or Hotmail. Let's run that, and you see all of them are the freely available ones. So you can specify that by the free email. Let's look at another one, which is the fake domain. I'm just going to reuse this. Domain_name. When I run that, it gives me a bunch of names. I can also generate IPv4, and it's a very simple format. All you need to do is it's fake IPv4. When I run that, I get IP addresses. Now this is a mix of private and public. We can always also further differentiate between that by adding _private. So this will generate all that are non-routable. So starting with 10 or 192 or 172, all the three classes are shown here. And I can also generate public. So IPv4_public, and that will generate all the routable IP addresses. We can also do IPv6. So I just need to replace this with 6, and that should give me all the IP version 6 IP addresses. We can also print MAC addresses. Let's see what the syntax is. Again, it's very straightforward. We just do printing. We're doing fake.mac_address. Let me run that, and you see I've generated a number of MAC addresses. We can also generate port numbers. Let's do that. Replace it here. Just need to indent here, and when I run that, it gives me a bunch of port addresses. I can also generate fake URI and URL. Let me show you. So when I run that, it gives me URIs, and I can also replace that with L to get fake URLs. So easily done. Very, very versatile. Now let's look at some I would call them like interesting ones, which is under the automotive provider. So creating a fake license plate. Let me replace it here, and when I run that, it generates a bunch of license plates. I can also generate a bunch of dates, and I go here, and syntax is fake.date. It'll generate in the year, month, date, or year, month, day format. I can also generate different job types. So I found this very interesting. When I run this, you see I have 10 different types of jobs that are generated here. So police officer, forensic scientist, production manager. If I run that again, you see a bunch of other some that I never even heard of. So again, very interesting. Let's run the country one. So it will generate a list of countries. When I run that, it's generated a bunch of countries. Let's try something here. Let me do faker. Let me give it some number and see if it generates the same country names every time. Okay, so I'll take a look why that's not working, and you can take a look at it at a later stage. Now I can also generate like city, so I can change this to city, and when I run that, I get different cities around the world. We can also print or generate fake street addresses. When I run that, you get different kinds of addresses, and these are street. And we can also print or generate locations with the longitudes and latitudes. Let me run that, and you get the longitude, latitude, and the location of that place, or as it says, location on land. So you can also use faker to generate random numbers, and I'm just going to paste the command here and quickly go over it. So we are doing faker.seed. We are seeding it with 0, so that it's different every time. We want it to generate different ones. I'm generating 10 of them. You're doing fake.random_digit, and you can also we'll do that later. So let me run that, and when it runs, it generates the random numbers, and you can see it's a mix of numbers. There's 0, and they're all randomly generated. If I run that again, it should give me different ones. Now here, if I change the seed to something else, let's say some other number, then it should generate those same random numbers every time. So this is what I was talking about previously. If you seed it, it will all generate the same number or same text, because this might be a requirement for your application to rerun the test with the same data. So you can use the seed option to do that. So when I run that again, you see that even if I'm running it several times, it will always give me the same random numbers. But normally by random numbers, you want every time to be a different one. Now instead of getting a 0, I want all the random numbers to not be null. So to generate that, all I need to do is append not null here, and you'll notice that when I run this, it'll be missing zeros, so they'll all be numbers without and not null or not zero. Okay, so we looked at random numbers, we looked at some fun type of generating. On to the other one. So the next one I want to look at is air travel, and the command is to use pip and run this. I've already run that. Let me run the other two and show you how that is done. So when I run these, and let's take a look at this one. So I want to see a fake airline, so West Air China. Let's put a for loop, so we generate a bunch of them, and I need to append a print here, print, so that it prints them out. Okay, let's run that. So Spirit Airlines, Wings Air, Cap Air, Thai Air Asia, and so on. So it generates a bunch of let's look at another one, which is airport names. So I'm going to do airport name. Let's run that, and it ran and then created a bunch of these airport names. Let's look at a full flight. This is an interesting one. And let's run it without the, or perhaps just one, because I just want to see one of them. So in airline, it's departing the airport, the destination, and a lot of other details are available here. So that's what I wanted to show. But if you go to the Faker website and you look at some of the standard providers, you can see a lot of information is available here. We looked at the job one, and we looked at the internet one. So feel free to explore, and I am sure that you will enjoy it as much as I enjoyed using it and creating this video. So hopefully you like this, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Thank you for subscribing, and thank you for joining me on this tutorial.